Link's Awakening. Tall, tall heights. Hoot, hoot, the windfish.
That should be the intro.
Hey guys, welcome to our review of Link's Awakening. But it's not just a review, it's also a discussion.
Yeah, because we like to talk about things.
We do. So today, like I literally just said, we're going to talk about Link's Awakening. We're going to give our opinions, and we're going to discuss certain key aspects of the game. We'll do story, gameplay, audio, and visual. And we have our chart, we have our scoring system, which we'll put somewhere in the description below.
Down there.
So you guys can kind of follow along. If you guys want to jot it down and, compare and contrast.
Or just hit the little arrow and see the descriptions as we go.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, just, let us know in the comments if you agree with our scores and whatnot, and put yours if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, here we are, man. This is a remake of a 20-year-old Game Boy game. Actually, no.
20 years?
It's more than 20 years. This game originally came out in 1993 on the Game Boy.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And it's been a while, and here we are.
Yeah, I never played it. That's actually one of the few Zelda games that I have never played.
Okay, so you never played Link's Awakening before this remake?
Yes, I have no nostalgia factor or any sort of attachment to that game. So for me, jumping in, I was like, this is a brand new Zelda game for me.
Right.
I didn't know what differences there were from the original in comparison to this one. The only thing that I know of is quality of life stuff and some things, but
Exactly.
I don't know. But gameplay, I mean,
So for me, right?
Yeah.
Some backstory. This was my very first Game Boy Color game. I never owned an original Game Boy. My first Game Boy was the Game Boy Color that came out in 1998.
No way.
And with it, my dad, well, because I asked for it, because the box looked cool, I asked for Link's Awakening. So that was my first game that I ever got on my Game Boy Color. Yeah. So, and that was the deluxe. That was the DX version.
Yeah.
So it had it was remade to have the colors
Right.
on the actual game. So I have tons of nostalgia for this game. Like,
cool.
Tons. Like, when I think of some of the best experiences that I had with a Game Boy as a kid, dude, it's Pokemon and Link's Awakening. Those two games were like cornerstones of my childhood.
Yellow.
Dude. So, yeah. Going in, I wasn't part of the reaction. You guys were, so you can see the reaction right there. For when they first revealed the Link's Awakening remake on that Direct. I wasn't there that day, but I was at home, and I was watching it. And my wife was sitting next to me while I was just watching the Direct live.
Mm-hmm.
I legit almost cried when I saw the.
It wasn't Panzer Dragoon levels, but
It
it was
wasn't.
almost
It
there.
wasn't Panzer Dragoon levels because that shit came out of nowhere. But it was like I saw the water, and I'm like, what is this? As soon as I saw that stupid boat, I was like, they're remaking Link's Awakening. I freaked out.
Yeah,
I freaked out.
Understandably so, because
it's a-
I didn't see that coming, especially with Cadence.
Yeah, right.
Because I was like, all right, we got a Zelda game, even
Yeah.
if it's from an indie developer. Like, I'm fine with that. So.
Yeah. So I was taken aback by that, and I was happy, and I finally got to play the game.
Right.
And before we get into the review, I do want to say one thing. The way that I played this game was very different. Again, I was 9, 10 years old, I think, maybe even 11 years old, when I first played Link's Awakening.
Right.
I have a child. I have 2 kids, and one of them is a 9-year-old boy who showed a lot of interest when he saw Link's Awakening. So I bought it, and I actually played the entire thing with him. He was essentially playing the game while I was sometimes guiding him, sometimes giving him the push, or sometimes even helping him if something was kind of difficult for him.
Right.
So it was a very different experience this time around, because I just loved the game so much, but I
Right.
wanted him to experience it.
Right.
So just a little forewarning before we get into it. That's kind of how I'm reviewing the game.
I should probably give you a forewarning as well. I had the completely opposite experience. I was playing, and my son was watching me because he's 3. So
Yeah, it'd be kind of a little hard.
it'd be kind of hard for him to figure things out.
Right.
So,
And a lot of the stuff is obtuse, but we'll get to that.
yeah. So
Let's get right into it, guys. First major topic is the story.
yeah,
How do you feel about the story?
dude. Similar to Majora's Mask,
Yeah.
I like it when Nintendo takes or breaks outside of like that Zelda formula that's there with like the Triforce and everything.
And no
like,
Zelda.
and there's
no
no
Ganon.
Zelda, no Ganon. Like
Yeah,
it's
kind
literally
of.
just like, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but like it's Link and he's someplace else.
Right.
So breaking away from that was first off a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And at the
Right,
same
and
time,
you having never
I've
played
never-
it.
never-
It's
never-
like,
never-
oh wow,
never.
yeah, because Link's
I-
Awakening is kind of goofy.
oh yeah, totally, 100%. Like all of like the cameos with like the different characters that are in there.
Mario and Tarin, like Tarin looks like Mario, dude.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like Tarin,
totally.
he's eating mushrooms. He turned into a raccoon. That's
Yep.
Mario.
That's literally Mario. I mean, come on. Chain
Yeah.
Chomps, Goombas. You
Yeah.
got Kirby in one of the dungeons.
Kirby was one of the enemies. Yeah. So the game is definitely goofy, but the story itself is pretty simple.
It's
right?
basic. It's basic.
So this is a direct sequel to Link to the Past. The Link that you
Uh-huh.
see in the ship at the beginning, which has amazing animation, by the way. That is Link after A Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
And again, super simple story. Link gets shipwrecked, ends up getting shipwrecked on his island. Mario wakes him up, and he realizes he has to wake the Windfish.
Yeah.
That's literally the premise of the story. There's a lot more to it, but overall, that's his mission: to wake up this Windfish, this egg at the top of the.
Which
of the
I
mine.
had no idea what it was. Like this entire time, like seeing all of the stuff because I wanted Link's Awakening on my Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
I have the original Game Boy. It's over there next to my Super Nintendo, and like I wanted it, and I never got a chance to actually get it. And I got the yellow version Game Boy Color, so I was like,
Oh.
I could get DX.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do it. And that never happened.
never happened, huh?
obviously, because I was a kid, and my parents were like, no. So now, I don't know, man. Like it
So it just fair warning.
there's slight spoilers.
for a 25-year-old game.
Well, I mean,
spoilers
there's
to
some
the story.
people like me that
Correct.
have never played the game.
And I did want to. I do want to bring that up because as a remake, it is really like to the T. It doesn't really deviate much.
Right, I don't know these things. So.
Right. So like as a remake, it doesn't deviate much in terms of the story. It is like 1-to-1, and I got to give kudos to Grezzo for doing that because. This is the kind of remake that I like. Like if you look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, they're changing so much of that it may be considered a whole new game.
Right.
Whereas this is essentially the same game, just with a lot of quality of life, a lot of new graphics and stuff like that. So the story, it's still the same. And people that never got to experience it, it's a great way to get into it, I think.
Yeah.
So, but go on. So
like, in terms of the story, I really wanted Link to get the girl.
dude, she was so into him.
I know.
She kept like telling him
It's
hints like, "Oh, what if I like?" No, never mind, I can't. It was so cute. Like,
come on, man.
like those moments where like you meet with her up in the beach and you're sitting on the log and you're having a conversation.
Oh my God. And like having like this deep conversation of being like,
What's out there? Where do seagulls go?
yes, what's beyond this island?
Yeah.
Like, dude, there was hints of like something greater.
Yeah.
Something deeper. And like we said, the story itself is simple, but there was so much potential there, and like I kind of like it at the same time because it leaves it open for interpretation on our part.
Yeah, for sure.
So
like when you get to you're playing through the game, you have this owl that comes and tells you where to go. Sometimes obtusely so, sometimes very, very obviously so.
Which was different. I've never experienced this in any Zelda game. Like there's always a little bit of hand holding.
Yeah.
But
remember
from like
Ocarina
back
of Time?
then.
Oh yeah. Before Ocarina of Time.
Yes.
Because on Ocarina of Time, you do have an owl. That
Yeah, and
tells you where
I
to
thought
go,
that was
too.
literally the first time that happened.
Yeah,
that he like first popped up in Ocarina of Time. So this was all new to me. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
So cool stuff.
It is, and it's interesting too because Link to the Past, like I'm pretty sure came out before Link's Awakening. So Link's Awakening was when they were gonna make Link's Awakening, it was supposed to be they were trying to get a Link to the Past on portable, and then they realized they kind of just could do their own thing, and that's how Link's Awakening.
It's a passion
came to be.
project.
Absolutely, Eiji Aonuma back then. I don't think he was producer. I forget what he did, but yeah, like he was part of it, and they realized we could do whatever the hell we want with this, and they did. So yeah, that was very cool. But by the time you get to the 5th or 6th dungeon, you meet an enemy boss or a mini boss that tells you that, oh, you know, you're gonna learn the truth of the island behind this wall.
Yes.
And that's when the game first hits you.
Yes. When it's like all of a sudden, like, hey, if you wake the windfish, everything's gonna
The
be
island
gone.
disappears.
Like everything.
Yep.
You wake, like you're gonna be gone. We're gonna be gone. Everything's gonna be gone. And it was a very interesting take story wise because it pretty much was very self aware.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of almost broke the fourth wall in a sense.
In a
for
way,
me.
yeah.
Like, you know, it's the game literally saying, because I know it's a dream.
Yeah.
Simply because it's a 25-year-old game or 20-year-old game.
Yeah, you know, like what's happened.
Yes,
Like, yeah.
you
It's
know
hard to
what's
get away
going.
from that.
It's hard to get away from that, but the game literally tells it. It slaps you in the face with it.
Yeah.
It's like it's a dream.
By the way, it's a dream, buddy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, damn. You know, and I don't remember exactly how I felt, but I know that I was shocked the first time I found that out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because it is a big revelation. Like you're playing the game, you're thinking, okay, these people are obviously there, they're just characters, and then it's like, oh, they're a dream. You know, and it's not the first time Nintendo has done this either, by the way.
Yeah.
Like Super Mario Brothers 2 was Mario's dream.
Yeah.
You know, like they've done this before, and it's not a new trope either.
Mm.
You know, it's definitely something that was used a lot in the 90s, and obviously was used here.
Correct.
So, you know, when you finally beat the game and you get to that ending, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
You know,
It kind of is.
like my son, you know, he definitely like. I swear, like I'm never gonna forget this experience because he looked at me when we read that. He was like, "It's a dream."
Really?
You know, he was like,
dude,
"Wait,
that's-
what?" Like
that's
it hit
epic.
him. He was like, "Oh my gosh!" So
That's
like,
epic.
yeah, he literally kept asking me like, "Oh my gosh!" So they're all gonna disappear. He was genuinely enjoying these characters. You know, so that's exactly what happened to me. And like seeing it 20 years later, it's like, holy crap, this is amazing. I love this. Yeah. Yeah. So in 20 years, when they remake it again,
Yeah.
I'll play it with my grandkids.
It's gonna be in VR.
No, it'll be hollow into my eyeball, dude. Like, oh.
So story was good.
It's a simple story.
Right,
I think
right.
it's an effective story because again, by the end, when you know you get all the 8 instruments, you go into the windfish, into the egg, and you fight all those
nightmare.
different. Yeah, dude. By the way, that nightmare boss, like the music they used, which we'll get to that later on, but I just want to say it now. Oh man, like that whole scene was so good. The fight was good. When you saw, I forgot that Ganon was part of his transformations.
Yeah.
Seeing Pig Ganon was like, that's right. This is a sequel to Link to the Past.
Yes.
That was a nightmare. Like, yes.
Yes.
So good.
Epic.
And then
Epic,
you
epic,
finally
epic.
wake him up, and it's like this. I played with my son. When he saw the windfish, he was freaking. He was like, "Wow, that's what he looks like." You know, because it's this big whale, like
yeah, like super
with, like
colorful.
super colorful, yeah, super
yeah.
trippy, and he was just like, "Wow, that's what he looks like," you know, and like the game ends, the credits start rolling, that freaking amazing orchestra they got to
Yeah.
play, like it was just like surreal. I loved it. I really, really enjoyed the story, as simple as it was.
Me too. No, as simple as it was, like it still hit home, and like it definitely, like playing with my son, like and
Yeah.
experiencing that together. Like he would wake up and literally say, "Let's go play Link's Awakening."
Yeah,
So
it's
it was a
freaking good,
cool
man.
experience, man, and,
For
and
sure.
like the story was lighthearted enough, but still, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was good. It was
And
good.
a
I
fun
enjoyed
little
it.
fact, if I didn't do it because I'm not gonna do that, it's really difficult. But if you beat the game without dying once, you get what they call the perfect ending.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't add much. It literally adds, like in the animated section at the end, it adds Marin's face.
Oh.
It's a nice little like, oh, and like you hear her singing. "Ah."
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think overall though, what would you rate the story? What would you give it?
So I would definitely check it
And
out.
pull it out because
No, I'm gonna pull it out
Professionals
because
here.
we're pros. I definitely gave it a 7 out of 10.
that's funny because I also gave it a 7 out of
Shut
10.
up,
I
man.
did.
So for those that haven't looked in our description, a 7 out of 10 is great. If they had just fixed a few things, it could have been amazing.
Yeah, and this is at least coming from me. The 7, I gave it a 7 simply because it is a very simple story.
I
right?
agree. Very,
It
very
is also
basic.
a 25, 26-year-old story.
That was
written for
limited
a Game
by
Boy,
a Game
right.
Boy.
So, you got to have the expectations in check. But I think a 7,
Correct.
again, a 7 is great on our scale.
Right.
It's not a bad story whatsoever. It's just simple in scope. It's effective. It does what it needs to get the job done.
Correct.
So we so far, 7 out of 10 for the story.
So far. So in regards to gameplay,
There's a lot to talk about in gameplay, but we're gonna keep it, nice and compact. And I want you to start off.
Okay, cool.
Tell me about
Awesome.
your gameplay experience.
So, coming from no experience with the series and kind of just jumping into it.
But with Link's Awakening, not the series.
Well, yeah, Link's Awakening. Sorry.
Yeah.
But with Link's Awakening and having no experience from the Game Boy and Game Boy Color version, I kind of dug it. There are a few things that that I didn't agree with, and I discovered this while I was testing the Super Nintendo controller.
Oh yeah. Right.
There's no D-pad control, like none whatsoever.
That was weird.
That was like very not Nintendo, because Nintendo typically, when it comes to controllers, you can use
They give you a lot
everything.
of options.
They give you all sorts of options, and even if it was just having the D-pad to go ahead and control Link, like in his animations, which I'll talk later. But one thing in regards to his controls, he automatically jolts from one direction to another. It's all 8 directions.
Yeah, so he moves in an 8-directional. Like he only has 8 directions to move.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
The game is tile, like because of the Game Boy design.
yes.
The game was designed with tiles. Every single step that he would take was essentially a tile in the game world.
Right.
They kept that with the remake, even though the world is like
It's not square by square.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to me, it definitely took some away from that. I kind of wish that you could have remapped the shoulder buttons. But aside from that, I mean, I did play Oracle of Ages and
Oracle of Seasons.
Thank you, Oracle of Seasons. I have both of them. And
Those are good games.
They're great. I mean, Capcom.
Yeah.
Like come on.
Yeah, they did really good.
They
with
did
the
a really good
license.
job with their IP.
Yeah.
So, but I was used to the whole fact that you had to switch in between things because of that, and I kind of expected that within this. And at the same time, I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that there were those quality of life improvements.
Right, because they mapped the shield, the Pegasus boots, the button, the sword, and what was the other one? Was there another one? No, that was it. It was three things that were buttoned. It was the shield, the Pegasus boots, and the sword.
Correct.
We're all mapped. Oh, and also the lifting.
The lifting, yeah.
The bracelet. You didn't have to switch to the bracelet because in the original you did.
You had to
It was
switch.
literally an item.
Yeah.
So your sword was an item, your shield was an item. It was insanity.
Like managing everything as you're traversing through the world was definitely, you always had to go back into the menu and you always had to change things. So having those 2 buttons for the Y and the X to like just be there and kind of be like, all right, these are your items, but your basic necessities are here. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, quality of life improvements, 110%.
For sure. And, you still had to go into the menu and still had to slide them up.
but not
but
as
it
much.
wasn't as
nowhere near as much.
Nowhere near
as much. But, in regards to, like, the fighting, I do know that there were some quality of life improvements in regards to some of the enemies that had the sword and shield kind of like coming up to you.
Right.
And you had to defend in order to actually kind of like open
break
up their attack.
their defense, yeah.
Yeah. So, that was cool. The gameplay, like, it felt really good.
Yeah. No, gameplay-wise, I mean, they already did Links to the Past. And Link to the Past is, arguably one of the best 2D Zelda games.
It is.
If not the best.
It is.
I guess I can't, yeah.
It
so,
is.
like, this was building upon that foundation.
Right.
And it was, in terms of that combat gameplay, in terms of like the Zelda experience, I think it was fantastic. A few minor gripes. Again, this is all because of the 8 directions. Some of the way that the sword worked, like I would miss a lot of my slashes, or my son would rather. Or like with the shield too, like sometimes when you're trying to shield, you can only move in those 8 directions, and it was like something like in the original game it was 4. You could only move in 4 directions when you were shielding and when you were slashing. So now giving you the additional 8 would throw off sometimes the accuracy of where you were trying to point or aim.
Right.
So overall though, that was fine. The exploration in the game was still great. They added more seashells. In the original game, they only had 26. They doubled that to 50.
Did he collect them?
Hell, I didn't go for all.
I didn't go for all.
I think I only did it once when I was a kid.
Okay.
Like I just didn't want to do it again. Though I know there is a better reward this time around, from what I've heard. A lot of the mini games have been improved. The fishing was improved greatly. They added more lures. They added different types of fish. They added a bottle. Bottles were obviously introduced into this because they were in bottles before.
Yeah.
And another thing they added was the well, not that they added, but the crane minigame, they expanded that greatly. All the different
spent
like.
a lot of time.
Did you really?
that game.
Dude, it felt like a legit crane game. They actually
did.
had physics and everything.
Right.
Freaking crazy, man.
I mean, the one thing that actually like gave me issues in regards to actually like picking up and like bringing back was the seashells, just because they would always
fall out. Yeah.
Yes, and I was like, dude, what the heck? Like,
It's annoying, dude.
It was, but everything else was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed it, but I did spend a lot of time.
The crane.
Because you would like go in and you would get your stuff, and then you would get the money that was there. And
Yeah,
just keep on
just keep going.
rehashing. Did you steal anything?
I stole as a kid. Right? So I did this as a kid. And I don't know how I figured that out. If somebody told me or if I read it on a magazine, because it was 1998, dude. I don't know how I figured that out, but I did steal as a kid. And yeah, my file was forever named Thief.
Really?
Because that's what happens.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did
Your
not
file,
know that.
you literally get called Thief by everyone for the rest of the game.
Wow.
And if you ever go back to the shop, he kills you.
That I do know about.
Yeah.
That I do know
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, so I stole as a kid, and my son somehow, I think he went on YouTube and saw that you could do that, so he wanted to do it. And this little jit stole, and his file name was just Thief. And I warned him. I was like, dude, if you do it, you know you're gonna get called Thief. He did not care. He was like,
He
I
just
want to
went
do
for
it.
it?
He wanted to see it, and then he got killed. He never did it again. But he was like,
Wow.
I stole. I was like, oh my god, kid.
God.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
good.
funny because the game really makes you feel bad. It's like, hey, look, guess what? You got it for free. Do you feel good or something? Or I forget what it said, but it's like something like that. So,
Yeah, I didn't steal.
Yeah,
I saw that like he kills you, and I was just like, well, I don't want to die.
yeah, right? Yeah, but not just he killed. Literally,
I didn't
everybody
know that
calls you.
about. I did
So like,
not
imagine
know
the last cutscene of Marin's like Link or whatever,
It's
like
thief. I love you.
Thief. Yeah, it was funny. I kept changing the name to him. I was like, because he named it Eli, and I kept saying Eli. He's like, no, it's a Thief. I was like, oh my god, kid.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, no gameplay. And I know we're not dissecting it. We're not talking about like the 2D segments or anything like that.
Those were
A lot of the bosses were done very, very well too. I think Link's Awakening has some of the best dungeon design and some of the best boss design too. A lot of the bosses were really ingenious, and some of them are just awful though. Like the fish in the 5th dungeon.
Yeah, that was
So simple.
That came out, and I was like, really?
And I'll tell you what, it was better than the original release. In the original release, he only moved like up and down.
Really?
So you could literally walk up to him and just whack,
Just
whack, 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 whack,
and
whack, and
just-
then it was over.
Wow.
At
that's
this one,
kinda-
at least he
that's
moves
kinda-
around and has a little.
Yeah.
He also
had, like,
called
little
minis
buddies.
in the old
Okay,
ones,
so he
but
did. Okay, all right.
like his movement was literally just up and down like this.
Wow.
Yeah. So they fixed that for sure.
That's yeah.
But yeah, I think gameplay was a solid 2D experience.
Yeah.
I think.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I gave the gameplay an 8
I gave it a 9.
out of 10. Ooh,
I gave it a
a
9. Yeah, man.
Okay.
It was almost perfect for me.
No, I mean it is. It is.
Yeah.
But I think because of like what I mentioned, they're minor, but that's where the point difference comes in, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
8 directions.
I didn't experience like any issues with like shielding or anything
Yeah.
like that. At least none that like really like stood out for me.
Right.
So for
Yeah.
me, I mean that's
Oh, also, side note, I did try the Dompe's Grave, the
I did
dungeon
too.
maker.
it's whatever.
We got Dark Link out of it because if you scan your Link
Yeah.
Awakening thing, you get the Dark Link, the Shadow Link.
Mhm.
That was fun. That was actually a pretty hard. My son, he friggin' put a boss and that in the same friggin' room, and he was like, "Here, try it." I was like, "All right," and then I was like, "Oh my god, this is hard." Yeah, he trolled me so hard. But yeah, so it was actually kind of neat seeing that. But
That's awesome.
it's a throwaway mode in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they try to implement Mario Maker in
Yeah.
Zelda, like Zelda
May-
Maker. And then-
maybe in the future they'll expand that more and actually make a Zelda Maker, like a dungeon
Yeah.
maker. That'd be kind of neat.
like
that we
actually,
can share online,
like, yeah,
not through
that-
amiibos.
That's a whole other discussion, man.
Yeah. So, but I stick to my 8 out of 10 for gameplay.
I stick to my 9.
Yeah, man.
9 out of 10. for
There you go,
gameplay.
baby. Let's go.
So, in regards to the audio, I love it, man.
Yeah.
God, that's so like again going back to the Zelda. I guess you can call them tropes. Like
Yeah.
there's always like Zelda-esque music.
Yeah.
And like these are all like, is the whole thing orchestrated?
No.
No. Okay.
So they did. So Grezzo actually had a really unique way of designing the music. Some of the songs they implemented entirely new samples, and some of the songs are orchestrated.
yeah.
And then there are other songs that they took samples from the 8-bit soundtrack and mixed it with new samples. So like the fifth dungeon, the water dungeon, essentially,
Right.
there is a part where you hear the beeps and boops of the 8-bit soundtrack literally mix in with the new
That
one.
is so cool.
Some people didn't like this. I thought it was
Really?
great. I thought it was fantastic.
That's
There-
such a great homage.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel too. There are some songs though that I was not happy with. The song for the Lost Woods, what were they called?
Well, they are kind of like the Lost Woods.
Yeah, but what was their
I don't know
name?
if
They
they're
have a
actually
different
called.
name.
It's a forest.
Right, the forest. I forget the name. Sorry.
Let us know.
Yeah, right. The song they used, so the rendition of that song was so much better than the original.
Really?
I'll play it for you after so you can see. It was lively, way more livelier, but it had that like weird mystery going on. And in this one, it was really subdued, like super. Like the tones were still there, the rhythm was still there.
Yeah.
It was just so subdued that it didn't stand out.
Yeah, because I can't remember it.
Exactly, and I'm literally thinking of the 8-bit version in my head, like perfectly.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah,
Yeah.
see? So there were some highlights, but I think overall, the overall package, like the music for the 6th dungeon, which was the face dungeon, I think. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, the rendition is so good, and I know it's hard for you to compare because
Yeah, because I've never played the original.
but the
so.
rendition is ridiculously good.
To me, everything was good.
Yeah.
But in regards to the now you got me thinking of like A Link to the Past.
Yeah, the overall theme was fantastic.
So I'm sorry. Like now you got me thinking about Link to the Past. I'm probably gonna boot it up. So
that's a great game.
it is.
So yeah, I think overall the music was solid though.
The music for me was solid. I enjoyed it. I had no ties to the original one, so for me, when I was playing through it, I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah.
I did, I didn't really like compare it to the previous stuff, to the original.
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, this is cool. I like it.
I also wanted to note that the way they implemented the ocarina, I don't know, I felt like that was a legit ocarina. They recorded to play the music.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it sounded so legit.
Oh, I thought it was like
Sampled.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was, but it just sounded really good. And I love Mambo's the friggin' frog song. Dude, again, my son, he kept going back because I recorded that.
Yeah.
And he kept going back on the Switch and just like playing it back and back.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So overall, I gave the audio a 9 out of 10.
I gave it an 8.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. We just keep flip-flopping
I
over
know,
here.
I know. It's gonna even out.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
No, man. It's good. It's amazing. I don't know. There were, like you said, in the forest, there were parts that just weren't that memorable.
Right.
But for what it was, I enjoyed it.
Right. And one thing that I did forget to mention about the audio was that a lot of the way that they did the music, like when you open up the chest and you get like the fanfare, it was like almost like playful too. Yeah, it was
Like
super
super
subdued, but it was also playful like a toy box. That kind of goes in hand with our next segment,
Yes.
which is the visuals.
Yes.
Because the game looks like a friggin' diorama.
Look at it.
Yeah, this is the game.
Look at it. This is the game. This is so like when I first saw like the initial trailer and the reveal, and like Sean and I, we were talking, behind the scenes after we recorded our reaction, and I was like, dude, that looks like claymation.
Yeah.
Like it looks so cute, and it's like a little toy box.
That's what it really. They nailed that look down. They have this like weird little sheen of like plastic.
Yes.
It everything like even the
Like
foxes.
this.
Yeah. It's
like
crazy.
It's
how
crazy. It fits perfectly.
Yeah.
And this looks just like the main character.
Yeah. No. This is one of my favorite amiibos, if I'm honest with you, just because of how accurate it is to the source material, because it's so stylized.
Yes.
Right. So I think in visuals, Grezzo knocked it out of the park in terms of how the textures look, in terms of how like what they were going for, that toy box look. Hands down, they nailed it.
Yes.
However, they needed like 6 more months of optimizing this game.
It needed polish, like big time. Big time.
Frame rate, which has been talked to.
Oh yeah, I'm
by
sure
everyone.
it's been beaten like a dead horse at this point.
Yes, I mean we won't beat on it too much, but yeah, that frame rate.
It was bad.
It was rough.
And like when you first walk out of Marin's house, and everything just like drops, you're just like, whoa.
Because it's there's some games that like they'll unlock it, right? So like this game had a double buffer, which means that if it has issues keeping up to 60, it'll drop it down to half. That's why it dropped from 60 to 30. That's a major change.
Oh yeah,
because some games have unlocked frame rates, they might drop from like 55 to like 45 or like 50.
yeah, but that's not a huge difference. Like it's there.
You see it. It's noticeable, but it's not like jarring.
Yeah.
Right. Every time you would go into a new area, even in the overworld, you'd be walking around. It's smooth 60 FPS, and all of a sudden, like you like walk a few feet, and like slows down for like 2 seconds, and then it goes back up. It's like it's definitely jarring, and some people notice it less than others.
Right.
I noticed it a lot.
I noticed it a lot, man. And like that's the thing. The first time that I actually saw like an accurate representation of that on a console was when I was playing The Last of Us Remastered on PS4. There's a mode where you can either play in their 4K,
right, yeah,
or
resolution mode, or performance
resolution
mode,
or performance, and like the performance mode, you see that 60 FPS.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
I think it's locked at 1080, but 60 FPS.
Yes, and then you can go into the menu, flip a switch, and go back into it at 30. And when you go back into it at 30, you notice
the resolution bump, and the frame rate. Yeah.
But the frame rate is the biggest thing that you notice, because the resolution, whatever. But the frame rate is the biggest thing, and you see that in this, big time. Just traversing through the world, because there are, like again, as we mentioned, there aren't blocks.
Right.
It's literally just.
Yeah, it's big, and this is the one thing too it looks uglier because the game isn't at 1080. Like when it's docked, I think it's like in the high 900s p. So when you get to the 30 FPS, you notice a lot more of the resolution because now it's running slower. When it's 60 FPS and it's smooth, the resolution, you kind of noticed it a little bit less. That's why games like Mario Kart 8, even on the Wii U, still look so pretty, even though they're running like a 720p with like no AA, But yeah, so I think overall though, visuals are solid, minus that very, very big blemish those frame rate drops.
That is a pretty big blemish for me.
No, same.
Because
same.
It's I don't know. It just
when it's silky smooth at 60 FPS, it looks
it's amazing. It's amazing, but it kind of ruins the experience.
It takes you out of it a lot. I mean, at one point I stopped caring, but it's not like I stopped noticing it.
Well, yeah, but that does to me, that like as a gamer, that doesn't warrant forgiveness.
No, absolutely not. So I gave the visuals a 7 out of 10.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Woo, man, you was harsh.
I'm not harsh, man. A 6 on a 6 on our scale is good. It has its problems, but the good outshines the bad.
Yeah,
which is accurate.
Yeah,
a 7 for reference is great. If they had just fixed a few things, it could have been amazing.
Right. And that's just where I stand, because I really did like how damn accurate it looked to a toy. Like I've seen people online making dioramas of the freaking of Koholint Island and stuff. It's like, holy crap, they actually it looks just like the game, because it's so easy to replicate, because it looks like a toy already.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, Grezzo outdid themselves with this game, and
visually it's amazing, but it should have performed.
No, but I'm with you.
It should have performed, man.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I don't know, I wouldn't let that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I hear, dude. No, don't feel bad, man. You gave me
I don't feel bad about it. I stand next to my
stand it, man.
Yeah,
that's 6,
but
ooh.
Yeah,
Grezzo, get your shit. And you know what
Seriously.
sucks the most? Like, imagine if like a month they release a patch and it fixes like most of the issues.
Oh, man,
like they were
don't
Breath
tell
of the
me that.
Wild.
Don't
That
tell
would
me
suck,
that.
because like I should have I waited?
Yeah. And it shouldn't. That is not very Nintendo. So.
It isn't. This is not a very Nintendo thing.
No.
Seeing it like this, I was like, wow, like this is. They were pushing for 60 FPS, so.
And the initial impressions from E3
were 30. It was like locked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they started releasing new videos at 60, and I was like, oh, so this game is 60 FPS.
Yep.
It was very odd. So I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if it was rushed or if Grezzo tried too much with the graphics, and like I don't know. But yeah, so that's where it's at, man.
Cool.
So now is the point of the video where we tally up our score.
Yeah.
And the way that we have a formula, and essentially at the end of the formula, we tally it all up, we divide it by 100, and we get a nice decimal score.
Yeah.
So, I did mine earlier.
I did mine earlier as well. My final score is 7.2.
And mine is 7.7. That 0.2 is from that 6.
Yeah. It's definitely from that 6, man, because it was the one thing that me as a gamer.
Like you said, it was a very big blemish. And I get that. I get that. So.
You're
yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah. So now is the point where we get the official score
which is, do you want to
for
round
Link's
up?
Awakening. Yeah, let's round it up.
Okay, so
Make
it's
it easy.
7.5, which, again, for us, on our scale, it pretty much is in between great. If they had fixed a few things, it could have been amazing, or pretty awesome, starting to get hyped when talking about it, but need to ignore some things.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's a good representation of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm with it. I'm right there with it. 7.5 is a very accurate score for this version of Link's Awakening, right? You know, like we talked about, the story is simple but effective. The gameplay is fantastic. The audio is great, and the visuals need work.
Yeah.
You know, I think 7.5 is right where it needs to be, and I stick to it. You know, so that's the final score, guys.
That's the final score.
7.5 for Link's Awakening.
Yep.
I hope you guys enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
If you guys kept up with your little scoring, let us know what you thought.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think. If you haven't gotten the game yet, I would still recommend it.
Absolutely.
I think that this is an experience that should be had.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's-
people would argue that the $60 like the $60 price entry point is a little high, and especially in a world where we have the Crash Bandicoot remakes at
like,
$40
yeah.
for 3 games. Spyro
Same
remake,
Spyro.
3 games, $40. So I am kind of on that same boat. Nintendo has their whole Nintendo tax.
Nintendo is Nintendo.
You know, so we can't
Simple as
really,
that.
it's always going to be, that's always the case.
Yeah.
Will it drop in price? Maybe. You know, if
Black
you
Friday's right around the
want,
corner.
yeah, if you want to wait, maybe they'll put it on sale.
Yeah.
We'll
Kirby's
see.
always on sale.
I know. Yeah.
Always.
So I would also recommend it. If you've never played it, definitely. If you played the original and you want to see how it feels, maybe wait for a sale.
Yeah.
But I still recommend it.
So, anyways, guys, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and let us know what you guys think in the comments below.
Yes.
And, YouTube stuff, subscribe and all that stuff. But, and check out our merch store.
That's right.
That's pretty legit stuff.
Yeah,
We're
look
going to
it
be
up.
adding more stuff and everything like that. But I guess until next time, guys.
Yeah.
Deuces.
Later.
Like what you saw? Check out some of our other videos.
Be sure to click the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Thanks for your support, and thanks for watching.